Welcome in to the debut episode of Inside Findlay Trojans Athletics here on FindlayTrojans.com and ESP Media powered by Sidearm Sports. My name is Jason Griefer. It's a new venture here. We're joined by Findlay Athletic Director Nate Weihrauch for this bi-weekly podcast. It's going to be kind of give you an inside look at all the comings and goings in right now the fall sports season. So, Nate, certainly appreciate you joining us here today and going forward here throughout this upcoming school year. Before we get talking about your fall sports teams and kind of where they are as we're about to turn into September, if you could just provide us with an update as far as any kind of COVID or masking policies that you have in and around the school. So if fans who haven't been to a game yet want to come out, they'll know what to expect for both the indoor and outdoor events.
Yes, thank you. And thank you very much for having me. I'm so excited about being here. For our masking policy right now, everything is optional. And obviously it's such a fluid situation throughout our country and throughout Northwest Ohio here that everything is, like I said, is fluid, but it is optional inside and outside.
Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that, and hopefully everybody does what they need to do, and we can keep it optional. But as we said, things will change. If so, things will be updated for sure as we go forward. Now let's move in and start talking about some of our teams and some of our student athletes and kind of where we're at thus far on the year. Let's start off with our cross-country teams, both of them, both the boys and the girls. So they finished in the each finished in the top three of the Three Rivers Athletic Conference last season and just got things going with some relays and also the Norm Bray Invitational. They've got, upcoming matches with Columbus Grove, a meet there, I should say, and then a trip to Seneca East coming up in the second week of September. And as of now, we'll run under the lights there. It's been an interesting way to start the year. Given all the heat and humidity we've had in and around Ohio. So I'm wondering there how, from your perspective, the runners have looked in training leading up to the start of the season, and also how your coaches have gone about managing the runners through all these difficult conditions that can be very challenging to run in so as to not incur any kind of overexhaustion and any potential injury.
Okay. Yeah, first, our priority of our kids is the health and safety first and foremost. And, our head coach is Mark Gleason. And, we're fortunate to also have a volunteer doctor on staff, Dr. Lutz, and who certainly helps out with some situations if needed. But we certainly would take breaks when we need to. And, we don't try to overexert some of those kids throughout practices and so forth. But, I'm very pleased with talking to Coach Gleason here this morning, very pleased with how our kids did this past weekend. Tremendous weekend for those kids. We had for the boys side, we had, 5 of our top 7, they finished there in the top 20 and did a fantastic job there. Ty Cordonier, senior, leading the way. I think Ty is probably the tallest cross country runner that across the entire state. I think he's grown about 2 more inches since the last time I saw him here in the summer, but he's about 6'6" right now, and those long strides. And have a nice little freshman, Adrian Stuck-Schulte, that finished strong too for our boys cross country team. And certainly they finish in a nice pack, as Coach Gleason had talked about, but to finish in a nice pack with those boys teams for this past weekend. Our girls did a phenomenal job as well. They finished second, as you mentioned, Jason. Finished second and did a great job. Colette Seeger, I believe she ran a 21:05 and did a fantastic job there. Obviously 3.1 miles. I know I couldn't do it,
Nope.
No, I hate driving 3.1 miles, let alone running it. So, but our girls have done a fantastic job, and couldn't be prouder. They have a great attitude. Both our boys and girls have a great attitude on their teams, and hopefully we can stay focused and do well.
And that's just as important as anything when having to deal with all the uncomfortable weather. You got to have that attitude, and good to see that they've had that, and it's turned into results early on. Let's stay outside, and another team. It's a team that's been really busy in the month of August has been your golf teams, and as it's been the case with a lot of schools, they've been competing on seemingly an almost daily basis. It can be a challenge just to find out where we're going, who we're playing next, all those kinds of things. But nevertheless, I'm wondering at this point, as we're wrapping up August and about to turn into September, we're going to see the schedule start to ease up a little bit, not as many back-to-backs and so forth. So some time in between to work on some things. Where do the coaches feel the teams are at stamina-wise, given they've been so active? And then also maybe looking for some improvements as we are less than a month away from the track championships.
Right, right. It's golf is a game of consistency, right? And
Yeah.
whether at any level, whether it's high school or professional ranks, but that's what we need right now, is some consistency across the board for both our boys and our girls team. And we have, you had mentioned earlier, we have the our schedule, right? Our schedule is we started school here last week, right? August 24th. So
Mhm.
we're able to get out starting August 1st. You go from tryouts, and really, as you had mentioned, it's bang, bang, bang. Every day there's something that's going on. And so now we're into the phase right now with school that now we're able to spend a little bit more time practicing with our kids, and not having that out there in that hot sun like it was the last 2 weeks. It just have been brutal for those kids, and we've had a couple issues with kids. Just we need to maintain. I know it's golf, but we need to maintain those fluids and those hydration levels. And it's tough. It's tough for those kids, especially that mental grind. That
Yeah.
not just the physical aspect, but that mental grind that the kids are going through. So we're at that stage right now. We're going to try to ease back a little bit. I know both our programs took a day off last week just to relax. And I know my golf game gets a little bit better when I forget all my bad habits, right? So
Yeah.
so
It's still, nevertheless, I'm sure that it can be, after a while, a day off can be a welcome reprieve,
yeah,
especially as you said, given all the conditions. And I think that's something that doesn't necessarily get talked about as much in the golf game. Yeah, we talked about cross country, and they're having to consistently exert themselves in the heat and humidity. But golf, you're out there for 2, 3, 4 hours at a time. There, it can be, I'm sure, just as taxing for some of those athletes. So I'm sure the coaching staff is also, as you mentioned, really, really stressing we need to be up on our fluids and our hydration and whatnot. And they're doing just well in that regard. And I'll get a little bit of a break going into September for sure. Let's switch gears and let's jump on to the pitch, and let's talk about your boys soccer team first. We've got the home opener coming up on Tuesday against Fremont Ross. That's also going to kick off league play to start the year. Obviously, a very, very successful season a year ago, and making a deep run in the tournament, falling to Medina in a regional final. So not too far off from competing for that state championship. For fans who are just getting back in the swing with boys soccer, kind of give us some update of how much is back from that team from a year ago, and how do you think their prospects are as far as getting maybe back to the regional final and maybe even a step or two further?
yeah. I mean, certainly we hope. I mean, our district is brutal. I mean, it really
Mm-hmm.
is. I mean, you got to go through Toledo, St. John, St. Francis, Perrysburg, Anthony Wayne, Oregon Clay, you name it. Our district is very, 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 very challenging. Certainly, we hope to get back to that level. I mean, we come back and return 12 seniors. 12 seniors. We did lose, obviously, with graduation, but we have 12 seniors returning, and we certainly have high expectations, and with all of our programs, but obviously with boys soccer, having the success that they had last year certainly helps out. Coach Shanice does a fantastic job getting those kids prepared. As we actually had our home opener this past weekend against Ashland on Saturday, and we opened up with up at Sylvania Southview last week and finished in a 4-4 tie, up 3-1 at halftime. They came on back and roared back, but that's just how much talent that's in our district from throughout. Obviously, Ashland is a fantastic team. We were fortunate to get by them 1-0. Andrew Alsop scored a goal with an assist by Mikey Kennard, but Andrew actually that's his 4th goal, I believe, already on the season after 2 games, and doing a fantastic job across the board, and beating Ashland. They're always a very strong, physical, athletic team, so we were pretty fortunate to get past those guys.
How much do you think the grind of not only the league, but as you said, the district as well, and all the teams you have to potentially and sometimes do have to go through to get out of that, how much do you think that prepares them as for the postseason as they're going through the regular season towards the end and into the sectionals?
Yeah, I mean, we try to play a challenging schedule so we can go at the end of the year, we're ready to roll and get going. It is very tough. I mean, you talk about that mental grind. I mean, you've got to be on the edge, and we got to be prepared each and every game going on. I think Coach Shanice does a fantastic job with that, just with game preparation. And certainly our kids, you need to have that experience. And with our 12 seniors that we have right now, hopefully we can get to that next level, to that next step.
Yeah, absolutely. And they know what to expect as well,
Right.
having to go through that gauntlet, as you said, just to get to a potential regional final. But again, hopefully beyond that this season. Let's move over to the girls' side here. And just getting going as well. 1-1 thus far. They're going to start track play coming up with Fremont. You've got trips to Anthony Wayne, Whitmer in the next week. Plus, Leah Sellers, a really nice night in a win over Mansfield Madison. The team wins 3-0. She gets 2 goals in that one. So she's off to a very, very good start there. As far as Leah goes, how important do you feel she is going to be in setting the tone for this team to get beyond where they got a year ago, move into the districts, and maybe even sneak into the regional?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be fantastic. We have 5 seniors, and Leah's one of them. And, Colette Seeger, Emily Meyer, Olivia Churchill, Paige Pinion. She had a goal against Thomas Worthington. So we are, I mean, it's like I said, it's brutal. You mentioned that about the boys' side. I mean, it's very tough because now you have Notre Dame to go through, St. Ursula, Oregon Clay, Perrysburg, Anthony Wayne, you name that list too. So we're going to need our 5 seniors to really help us out. You talk about Leah Sellers. You look on the defensive side too. You have Colette Seeger, and I mentioned Colette earlier on about in cross country. She was our top runner coming through, running at 21:05 and 3.1 miles. Well, she did. That same day, she also ran probably that amount too on the defensive side, beating Mansfield Madison, right? So, Mansfield Madison beating those guys, they were the defending 2 state champions. So to actually shut them out 3-0, hats off to all those ladies. Like I said, Leah had an incredible day, and McCormick did a great job. Earning that shutout win. So.
Really good start there. She said it's never a bad night when you can take down a defending state champion and to do it the way you did there, 3-0. That's also to do it decisively.
Right.
That's a pretty big statement to make early on in the season. Let's move on to the tennis courts here, and a solid start to the season for your tennis teams there, getting a bunch of wins already. You beat Oregon Clay in a sweep to start conference play. So that's a good sign as well. It's a good message to send forward as well. What has Coach Swisher said about the solid start right now and the ability to sustain that once you really get into the grind of the track schedule?
Right. And Coach Swisher does a fantastic job. Emma Miller, Shelby Finn, our assistants out there. We have 6 seniors, and we're off, like as you mentioned, Jason, we're off to a great start. We had last year, we had 10 wins last year, so we're already obviously beyond that. We're 6-1 right now, and pretty excited. We had a little setback there with Northview, but we're pretty excited. Sydney Swisher with our first singles has been doing a fantastic job. Molly Quaid, Ava Roach at third singles, and then our doubles team with Olivia LeMaster, Madison Barbary, Mia Kennard, and Katie have done a fantastic job as well. So we have a talented group that we currently have, and we have a talented group that's moving forward. So it's been a struggle for those guys. You talk about cross country and golf.
Yeah.
But it was very challenging for those young ladies this past couple of weeks in this heat. So hopefully we get a little reprieve from some of that coming on up here. It's mid-70s, I think, this week. So.
No, that'll be certainly a welcome reprieve. How have their attitudes been over the last few weeks? Because I can imagine after early on, okay, it's hot and humid, but being out on those tennis courts, I would imagine doing it on a more consistent basis, that has to be a toll mentally, as you mentioned earlier with some of your other student athletes. How have they handled that?
They've done a fantastic job. They really have. They've done a tremendous job. And it comes down to, I mean, they just want to be out there. They just want to play. And you take a look at, going through the COVID that we've gone through the last, 19 months, and it's been a struggle and challenging from that aspect of things. But, they're out there playing, and that's what they love. And they're just out there playing, whether it's, 95 degrees in that court or whatever the case may be. They're out there playing. They're having a blast doing it. So I've been so impressed with all of our kids this past fall.
They've really across the board here. I feel like I'm a broken record saying this team's off to a solid start. This team's off to a solid start. This team's off to a solid start. Here we go again. Volleyball is off to a very solid start. they're 4-1, and they're going to get Whitmer coming up this week to start track play. And again, I'll just ask you, what have you made of the start of the volleyball team? Obviously, it's a different circumstance. They're not playing outdoors, but I also have to imagine they've also gotten a bit of a boost of energy because you've been able to have more fans back in the gymnasium.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned they're not playing outdoors, they're inside, but with our gym and our setup, it's like playing outside in that heat because it's pretty hot and humid in there. But they've done a fantastic job, and they're so fun to watch. I tell you what, we are 4-1 on the year. We'll set back with Benjamin Logan there, but I tell you what, our kids fought back. That was our first day of school, and then we had to travel, the hour and a half, to get there. But our kids have been doing a fantastic job. We have Ava Buttlemeyer, for example. She's a freshman. So funny story with Ava is freshman, first game of the year, and I had to go back into our records and say, what's our kill record that we have right now, our season game kill record? Because she was getting close as a freshman, as a first start. So that's phenomenal that she's able to do that. Her sister, Alexis Buttlemeyer, which is a senior as well. We have a handful, 6-7 girls that will get 10 kills at night. So, Raina Patterson's doing a good job. Ashley Robinson, I think she had 44 assists the other night. So, I mean, that's pretty amazing, but very impressed with our volleyball team. Coach Rolfe is doing a fantastic job. Second year, really impressed with our freshmen. This might be the tallest group of freshmen that we've had, and they get to that front line. It's pretty tough to get over top of them, but very impressed with our young ladies.
What do you make of the ability from your coaching staff to bring in these freshmen and have them compete and contribute so much early on? Obviously the old adage goes, you can't teach height. So that helps that you have a lot of height in this freshman class, but to have them come in, embrace what the coaching staff wants, embrace the message from the upperclassmen, and they come in and, from what you're saying, seemingly step in unafraid, and they're ready to assert themselves from day one.
Yeah, and I think that kind of resorts back to this summer, when other kids are doing clubs and they're competing all the time. And I love the competition, whether you're a freshman or you're a senior, you got to earn that spot. So you're always competing and working hard. And our freshmen are doing a fantastic job right now. And our from freshman, junior varsity levels and varsity.
So a bright future ahead of it's shaping up to be a very, very, very solid program. Yeah, absolutely. Development still has to go, but coming out like gangbusters early on, that only bodes well for the future. Let's move on. Let's talk about your football team. 1-1 to start the year after a very good Perrysburg team got the better of you this past week by a score of 28-14 there. So, Perrysburg's always a very, very strong program. I feel like we've mentioned that quite a bit here on the podcast, as well as fans in the area know Perrysburg has a very good athletics program, as does Findlay, of course. But coming up, you got Bowling Green, and before going in against Central Catholic in the track as well. If I'm looking at FindlayTrojans.com, this coming Friday is being designated senior night there for you at the high school there. So just wondering what went into the decision to have senior night here in week 3, and also your thoughts on how you feel this senior class has handled things the last 2 years. Obviously last season with the pandemic really playing havoc with everything, and this year it's still being a factor, and yet here we are right now still being able to talk about a season.
Yeah, it's been a struggle. I mean, whether you're an AD or a coach or a senior here, it's been a struggle across the state of Ohio, right? I mean, it's like walking on eggshells every day, not knowing. That was the same with last year. We weren't certain if you were going to play from week to week to week, and so that's the whole challenge. But it's that mental aspect of things that you have to to be able to compete. And competitors, they want to compete game in and game out, week in and week out. And I've been impressed with our seniors. I mean, it's a great group of kids. I mean, I remember coaching a lot of those kids back when they were 4th and 5th graders. So great group of kids and parents. But we have Bowling Green this coming week. It is senior night. we have 85 seniors that we are going to be acknowledging and honoring that night, from band to cross country, football, cheer. So it's a golf. So it's pretty exciting. It's that special night. Now I like to do it early in the year because it's nice outside, right? You hope that you don't have any rain and the sunshine, and it's not in October when everybody's freezing and hoping that they are, let's hurry up, get back into the car, that type of thing, and warm up. But we kind of do it early, and hopefully hopefully it's nice weather outside.
You mentioned kind of how difficult it's been the last 19 months, dealing with everything, and talking about these seniors on this football team. I want to turn that over to you now. Now that we're into this fall season, obviously everybody was learning on the fly a year ago with the pandemic, and a lot of the fall sports wound up falling by the wayside. We got some games in, not a full slate there. I'm wondering how much of a challenge it is right now for you as an athletic director, knowing that we still have to keep an eye on all the COVID protocols and do what we can to keep everyone safe, while juggling the fact that as of now, all of our fall sports are a full go. How has that been for you?
Well, it's a unique and challenging time, as obviously for all of us. Like I said, it's like walking on eggshells, hoping that you can play each and every day, and talk to the coaches, reminding them, we've got to space out. We're going to give, kids have to have their own water bottles, seating charts on the bus, to away games. So it is challenging, and it's a unique time that we're all kind of going through from the athletic side, because ultimately it comes down to is we just want to play. We just want to play, and how awesome it is to actually have fans in the stand. And parents can come on out and watch their kids, and we don't have to worry about tape on the seats, as of right now. So it's pretty exciting.
How important has that been for you and the student athletes to be able to have fans back, to have a full allotment of families back? We don't have to limit it to 2 or 4, and we can have a full, essentially as close to full crowds as we can. How big has that been for the programs?
It's been huge. And not only that support that you need, those kids want and cherish, and you're not worried about, okay, can this set of family get in and that type of thing. 4 tickets, 2 tickets, from a financial aspect of things too. It's nice when you have a full crowd, compared to limiting it to 30%. So like I said, it's been challenging, and I think our kids appreciate it, and they appreciate playing.
And doing everything we need to do to have a full season allows us to talk about everything and all their successes here on a venture like this. Nate, certainly do appreciate the time here today. Looking forward to continuing our discussions as the fall and winter sports and into the spring goes along here. Really enjoyed it, and a lot of really great stuff to start the year. Thank you, Jason. And like I said, this week, all of our events is sponsored by Loan Depot, from Scott Snap. So, So we appreciate Loan Depot and all of our sponsors, and thank you very much for this opportunity. And I think we're back at it here in a couple weeks. Yes, we are. We'll be back at it at 2 weeks. Our thanks here to Findlay Athletic Director Nate Weihrauch joining us for Inside Findlay Trojans Athletics here on the all-new FindlayTrojans.com and ESP Media, powered by Sidearm Sports.